What's going on, fellow zombies? Are we alive yet? Are we awake yet? Hell, it's only 2:46 in the afternoon, West Coast time, on May the 21st, 2025. The Weaver John C. of Roseman, California. You're zombie out here. So anyway, usually I do the Diary of the Griever named John Weaver when I'm emotionally screwed up and worse than sleep deprived. But now I'm a little ticked off. There's a tuber out there, Michael Knowles. He picked up on an article or two. It kind of got my attention on my radar. Apparently, there's a university out there who takes in strays, and this one particular student says she can't do it because she's not illiterate. Well, my question is, why did she get in there in the first place? She got accepted in there. Okay, question, why did she get accepted in there? And I don't know why. A university of a different state has different criteria than everyone else, and apparently they do. But he's also making a point of whether or not of education is worth it or not, and he's noticing other people not showing it, either by state legislature or by interest these days. And he's roughly a lot younger than I am. I'm only 59, but maybe he's on the same age bracket. Maybe he's got the same, he's chewed the same age dirt as I have. I always thought a long time ago that education was important. That understanding things and reading, writing, and arithmetic, which means math, which means numbers, which means calculations, were supposed to be important. Cursive language, the quality of how you loop your letters, was drilled into us in the first few years of our intelligence, of our waking up and realizing we had to go to preschool and then kindergarten, and we still had to write clearly and effectively. If not, our printing skills may be the only things left for us to make letters with, but not worthy. We must make our loops clear enough. So yes, we were instructed on how to do our writing, literally, communicating, A through Z. And some of us had lousy handwriting. I raised my hand on that one. I never was able to keep my loops clear enough for people to understand it. And the way I keep seeing other people's signatures, we're all falling into standards. But we were also taught higher education was supposed to be important. This is what we were aiming for right out of high school, isn't it? Or was it? Depending on the school district, depending on where you were at, is whether or not you're actually going to get into school or not. Were you going to be able to communicate it effectively to people? Were you going to be able to tell them that you were sufficient to join your collegiate buddies in there? Well, maybe not the higher educations, but it's usually the community colleges, if they actually had it. They would accept so many people in because of class sizes and also have waiting lists. And sometimes they'd just shut down classes left and right because the waiting list has already been maxed out. But they would also test you to see if you were comprehending the material in front of you, if you were actually able to calculate things correctly. Now, K through 12, actually in preschool through K, you're supposed to be taught adding, subtracting, multiplying, and subtracting. So if you're in kindergarten, you're supposed to learn that. And then 1 through 12 was repeating the mathematics, but in different formulas. If you were lucky enough and you were catching it, maybe trigonometry, geometry, calculus, physics, were you actually able to figure out the higher levels of mathematics other than the basics? I mean, when you get into beyond basics, it was supposed to have been algebra teaching you about formulas that made sense or in a logical way you were supposed to think. Now, I couldn't do it. I wasn't thinking that way. They're telling me this one particular formula. I picked out a different formula and come up with a different answer altogether. And it wasn't the right answer. Here's the formula. I saw the formula. Why didn't you do it? I did it. But that's not the right answer. I know. Why is that? You need tutoring. So I tried to tutors crazy over the damn thing. I was never using math the right way, according to everybody. When it came down for English, that was a different story altogether. I wasn't doing A's, but at least I was effectively communicating. But the only thing that was holding me up regarding my language skills is how well did I use the cursive. My handwriting sucked. But did I have any interest in the material in front of me? Yes. Because I was reading it, I was reciting it, and then I had to tear the damn thing apart in school. They were teaching me basic critical thinking and critical thinking skills by analyzing literature one way or another. Not just poems, but stories. What did they tell you? What do they mean? What was this element? What did it make you feel? What did it make you think? And I appreciated that. Not just hammering on my damn writing skills. Always hammering on the writing skills. History, they wanted you to recite. They wanted you to repeat. They wanted you to memorize what this meant, what that meant. And on the metaphysical, they wanted you to remember names, dates, figures. Important things that happened. Important phrases that happened. Not the reasons why, but that they actually happened. If you were getting into politics, different story. They wanted you to think about it. How did you feel? What elements were you being drawn and attracted to regarding topic matters, regarding subject matters? The high school was teaching us the basics of our government. Junior high was trying to teach us basics about the basics of our government system and about history, about things beyond our walls, beyond our neighborhoods. Was it magical? No. It was public education. When I went to a junior high, we actually had shop classes, but we had teachers retiring. We didn't build cars, but we built things with metal, wood, plastic. And then when we graduated, we already knew the shop teacher was shutting down, but we didn't know if the shop itself was shutting down. If we were lucky enough, we got into a high school where we actually had some shop classes still there. If we were still mechanically inclined. Me, I wasn't. I took the I took the shop classes in junior high because it was a prerequisite. It was required that I had some kind of construction material going on. Didn't have that in elementary school, except for crafts, trying to glue things with glue and paper and cardboard and stuff like that. Oh, look at this. I made this figure out of toilet paper rolls. It's supposed to be this. It's supposed to be that. We're celebrating a holiday. We're celebrating this. Let's make these things in the crafts, guys. We'll give you an hour to mess up your damn desks and have it glued all over the place. You get into junior high, you got through the crafts and got into physically building things. Grab a screwdriver, boys and girls. Grab some hammers and nails and power tools. Here's machines for you to use. We got lathes. We got planers. We got planes. And we got wood ash all over the place. Tin snips. We have soldering irons. We had solder to melt things and build things with. And I built. I screwed things up, I know, but you know. I thought I was a good builder when it came down for Lego pieces. They're already preformed. I can build things with them with an imagination. I can create things. But now I had to create things physically out of nearly thin air. How many pieces of wood do you need to make just a simple cutting board? Okay. You wanted an absolute fiasco, or did you want something simple that would have been made? I picked something totally difficult. I barely got to see out of the damn thing. But I built the damn thing for last. Built it to last. Now, when it came down for English projects, how was I good at writing material? Hey, you write your reports in class. Barely an hour to get at least a page or two written up in clear enough English and legibly. Use pencil all the damn time. No. You have to use ink. How many eraser mates do we have left? The only pen I would use is an eraser mate. If I made a mistake, at least I'd make the mistake. If not, you pull out the old whiteout and do the physical corrections. Yes, but did you understand the material right in front of you? I'm trying to write something here that I'm trying to tell you that I understand something about it, but you want me to write it in a cursive language that I'm having an issue with. Even my printing sucks. I don't care how many times I kept trying to practice printing and handwriting. I always got the thing screwed up. Never failed. Never failed. So I barely passed. When I got out of high school, I had reading, writing, arithmetic, and I broke hickory sticks. Had the reading, writing, no problem. I could read the book, tell you what it was about, give you a verbal book report if I needed to. Comprehension, okay, that's fine. Writing it down, oh God. Give me a typewriter. Even in junior high, we had a typewriter class. Not big IBM Selectrics or not the electronic fancy stuff. No. Physical monstrosities we had to practice with from the 20s and 30s with ribbons that'll get your fingers colored in black or red. And fingers tired as hell, especially when you have to. Don't type like that, type like this. Don't have the finger strength for this damn thing. Don't look at your fingers. Look at the next. I'm trying. How many times that I had a problem concerning about that one class of typing? What even got better is when I had to learn how to do shorthand. I didn't learn how to do shorthand in junior high. I learned how to do it in high school. And during that time, shorthand was a dying breed because we were coming up with computer programs and computer operations, but they still required shorthand. Squiggly stuff. What does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? Huh? Court reporting. You gotta, or if you're going to be a reporter in journalism, you gotta translate all these damn notes that you put into whatever kind of foreign language it is. You might as well call it a foreign language. Oh, you can read Spanish? You can speak Spanish? I'm like, huh? Try to learn how to do German. Was ist das? Ich spreche nicht. Ich spreche nicht Deutsch. Ich spreche English. Deutsch no good. Deutsch nein. English, ja. I barely passed. Barely. So coming out of the public education system, which was a dying breed anyway during that time, it's even worse these days. Not enough funding, not enough funding, not enough of this, not enough of that, and closing programs down left and right. I don't know what the hell it is anymore where I graduated out of. I called it a hell zone, but it really wasn't. They're still trying to teach you how to get through life, but not really. Well, sure, you can add and subtract with your change. You can do consumer math. That's easy enough, isn't it? Try to calculate the unit numbers on the price tags. And try doing it in your head. Was this certain amount over here, unit prices per this, per that? What does it mean when you're looking at the product over here and how much of it you're going to be getting and using at this point? That became more useful to me than anything else. Not just the way I was explaining it, how I was using it. If I'm a consumer and I go into a shop and I know I need to get some stuff. But what was the cheaper price per unit that could save me money and get me nearly the same material? Even though if it was store brand versus nationwide brand. Anybody teach you this one in home ec? I didn't take home ec. I took consumer math. But I was doing consumer math at home. Learning how to read the unit prices on tags and stuff and try to figure out which one had the better pricing. I'd like to get a amount of this stuff over here, but which has the cheaper price is going to save me a few pennies on this one. That was survivor math. Not just the higher ones where it's where you're doing this formula and you're doing that formula just to get through things. They did the algebra because if you're that intelligent on how to maneuver the numbers, well, maybe, just maybe. Right now I'm watching my dog. I'm just making sure she pees on the pads. I have to do calculations in my head how many times I have to keep getting the damn pads per month. And believe me, I go about 200, sometimes 250, depending on how this dog goes. If I can keep reusing some of the pads, then I get to save money. If I don't, well, I get to spend money. At least consumer math helped me on that one. But let's just say I'm coming from a different country into the States. There's an assumption that we're supposed to have the best education in the world. Unfortunately, if we can't even get our own kids understanding this, then how can we get anybody else coming into the States understanding it? And the next thing is, how is the bigger university, supposed to be dealing with kids that don't understand what we're dealing with here, let alone our own homegrown? Now, I just gave you a little bit of a taste of what the schooling I went through. My grades weren't enough to get me into a higher university, but barely enough to get me into the door of a community college. And they still had to test me to see what level I was at regarding my reading and English comprehension skills and then my math skills. My math sucked. So I had to keep taking the damn prerequisite algebras, and I still couldn't get the damn programs right. I couldn't get the formulas right. So I sucked at that level. I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't using it. I wasn't doing anything with it. What kind of formulas I'm looking at? What's supposed to be important? How does it apply to things I need? Currently, there are classes, I think, in the lower level community college. It's called liberal math. Yeah, I did say liberal math, or math for liberals. But they're talking about certain types of formulas on how to use things and how relevant it is in our own English language, or even what we're trying to figure out the masses. There is formulas to learn, and it is used as a math prerequisite or even a requisite. And I took it. It took me about nearly 10 years to take the damn thing, but I had to get the courage for this thing. Because I always kept avoiding math like crazy. But this was at a level I could do. Okay, so I did it. And I did pretty good. I did a B on that one. there was a project in there on how math affects me. So in this particular class, Math for Liberal Arts, I took it and I explained how math affects me in my life as an adult, in my older age, and how relevant it was. There was perspective, there was content. But in the individual, they're looking for human calculators. They're looking for human calculators. They were looking for calculators before we actually pulled out the calculators. How are you great on a piece of paper and figuring things out left and right and then show it to the professor? I sucked. I sucked. My calculations were always off because I wasn't using the right formula. I was always screaming at, this is not the right formula, you're not learning it right. That's why I failed. So it always left me behind from everybody else of thinking I am not mathematically inclined. When in fact I was. I just wasn't using it right or had the right perspective or content for it. I didn't have any context for it. At least it was just developing. Now, when it comes down for language comprehension, when it comes down for comprehending material in front of you, I had been a reader all my life. I had read science books. I had read space books. I read political books and scratching my head all over the damn double talk. I read the history books. I had to memorize history books. I had to read biology books. I couldn't stand biology. I had to read different types of books and understand and write reports. But make sure I understand I was reading it and reciting it correctly. And try to give my own interpretations on it. And it's the interpretations that we're looking at to see whether or not I actually comprehended the material in the first place. I mean, hell, give me a book. I read the damn thing 2 or 3 hours, and I'm giving you a book report of the damn thing. Because my brain was working that fast at that young age. And maybe some people saw some clarity that, yes, I was intelligent enough. Hell, I played with Legos to get things built. You had these different shapes. And I built things. So they claimed I actually had some intelligence in there somewhere. I got tested for that one. I had a psychologist test me for it. I said I was intelligent. I am. I don't know about that one. Maybe it was budding. Maybe I'm delayed on that one. I saw things these days as an adult while looking at different perspective, context, putting things together in my head and saying, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. We are in so much guano. If I happen to go to a major university, would I be able to get into it with my current grade levels? Maybe. Do I have to write a concise letter for it? They're going to be asking for it. Because what they want is probably something AI generated me. I'm just going to put it to them strictly and bluntly at them. Okay, if I'm going to be doing a letter on just to get into a high school or a university at this point. Not a high school, but another higher up university instead of a community college like I'm still taking right now. Dear administrator of such fine university, I am an old fart. You are looking for youth. You're looking for sponges to absorb all the knowledge and hopefully be able to get squeezed. Get the knowledge out of them to see whether or not they're going to be able to retain it or not. You want creativity, but you want them to be normalized and compartmentalized. You want them to be a functional unit, a robot, with barely enough creativity coming out of them. You want to be able to generate high enough revenue in your school. You want them to try to be intelligent and creative enough, but material that you keep giving them, we have to keep looking at it, regurgitating, and praying to God that we actually got an interpretation that you didn't look at. And if I'm going to be talking about myself coming out of a community college, I'm going to be examining your particular university to see whether or not you're going to be able to handle a guy like me in the first place. I'm 59 years old at the time of this video. I'm an old fart with some old fart ideas from ancient days, ancient values. I'm not like a throwaway student. You deal with the high turnovers. High turnovers are like the Walmart version of students coming in. And that's what's being examined when you go through the community college level. Are you going to be a throwaway or actually going to be something intelligent and kept? Are you going to be showing initiative or are you going to be showing cookie cutter? My experiences in community college for a decade and change was preparing me for a level of education, and I'm not quite sure if you're going to be able to deal with me, or anybody like me for that matter, except that I will outclass you, or subjugate you, undermine you in one way or another. No, I'll be challenging myself to a point where I'm going to be asking me, is the higher education actually worth it? Because I'm seeing the lower levels would have a little bit more better handling on things because they see things not from the altitude but from ground level. But the higher level would have a different advantage point than the grunts. See, being a grunt in a community college, no reference to military except for being a student going through a 2 through 4 year program and actually going through it a lot longer. Am I looking to be a leader? No. Am I looking to be a teacher? I don't know, am I? I would be asking myself of this question. Would your university be able to teach me something that I don't already know? Is your university really worth it, or are you just wasting time on people? Using people up like Walmart employees who keep coming in through the revolving door. You're looking for quality? You're looking for the athletic quality? I ain't it. If you're looking for academic quality, then you're really going to have to put the testing and you have to put it into the highest bar that you can to see if they can match up with you. Not lower your expectations down. You raise your expectations because if they want you bad enough, they have to prove it. They would have to prove it with demonstrations that you challenged them with. And if you cannot, then you are not a worthy university or higher level of college for me to enter in late stage game. If I live long enough to 100, I may acquire maybe 2 or 3 more community level college credentials. Would they be the equivalent of yours? And also concerning about the financial debt acquired. Since I have struggled with the financial debt I have right now and still struggling with it, there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to acquire yours and deal with the higher education because I have to do it for the money. I'm not doing it for anything else but the money. And what I've been doing for the community college for most of the time was for the money. But there's a catch in that one there, guys. In the community college level, when I first started, I was doing it for the money. I was doing it for the student day, but I discovered that there was little hidden things that made me stay on. In order to be effective with more college money coming in, one must be an effective student. One must make a pact, an agreement, put your name on a piece of paper of legality, of legalese, making a solemn vow, a promise, a word of excellence, that you will be rising above the minimalist, but shooting for the ceiling and breaking it. If you can at least get your ass off the floor and at least walk towards that ceiling, grade wise, you got potential. You got potential of rising into other companies that looked for this kind of behavior. If you were going to be the employee of the month or employee of the year, then you would have had to bust your ass to do so. You would have to have the gall to do it. Not running over people, but using people to get to the goals necessary, either for the company or for your department's sake. And not just your own personal sake. Because the personal stake is sabotage for you and for everybody. You do it as the unit, as a group. You're elevating and motivating people to do it. And then you show people leadership. You help the other guy come up. You demonstrate what you're capable of, but what they're capable of. Team spirit. I learned that it was drilled into me a long time ago when I could not do it in a college system because it wasn't taught to me K through 12. Not enough group activities. Therefore, the group activities in the community college these days, or in the last 10 years, since I've been in one particular community college, and rather fond of it, I've noticed that each class, they don't understand group sessions. Except maybe if they actually had a few of them in their own history. If they can work well with others, then you guys have a chance of succeeding. But that also applies to the higher level universities and colleges out there. If you do encourage group activities, they need to prove this and show this and demonstrate this. Otherwise, your college is no damn good. And neither is the instructors. Administrators and instructors have to be the ones demonstrating. If they can't demonstrate it, it's also up to the students coming in if they understand this concept. And if they don't understand the concept, then the bar is high enough. But if they understand and surpass it, then you had the bar lowered to them low. So that's my beef. That's my letter. That's my beef and my letter to the universities and colleges out there. As for my own college that I'm going to, even as I'm 59 years old and been there for about 10 years, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I have instructors that are patient enough. But there's only so much patience that they can spread around. It's up to the students to understand this and do the job. If not, what the hell are they there in the first place? And that being said,